that she is. This song is called Ганьба, shame, and that's what we Ukrainians usually scream to our bad politicians. Oh, wow. Like 1989. Guys, do you know who Morozenko was that she is mentioning in her song? За тобою, Морозенко, вся Вкраїна плаче. So, guys, she is saying that all Ukraine is like crying for some Morozenko. You know, Aziza.
I searched it and I forgot about this Morozenko because I like search information about Morozenko, and I forgot about this topic.
Yeah, so in the song she's singing who doesn't live, the one cannot die, who didn't fall asleep cannot get awake, and something else. I just forgot the last line of the
You know,
chorus.
I found some right now. Maybe it was Kozak Morozenko, a national hero,
Mhm.
and he is like a prototype of hero Ukrainian folk song about Morozenko. Um,
I
so
remember.
we have to find the song about Morozenko. And he was in the time of exactly this time when mm, Bogdan Khmelnytsky was.
I
Maybe
remember
in
this
some
is.
way it depend. So it's like about this way when we choose to be with Russian, to be more independent from Rech Pospolite,
Mhm.
from Poland. So maybe it's so I'm not sure, but we have to search this information more.
I remember some like song or poem where they said "За тобою," but for some reason I thought it's not Morozenko. It was something like some other name. Yeah, but I remember the line "За тобою someone, вся Вкраїна плаче." And it's an old poem, yeah, a few hundred years old. So maybe there was Morozenko after all, and I'm just forgetting, of course. Okay, Starsky, what is your opinion on this song? If you heard it from the other room, yeah, please.
Yeah, from my fridge. So I grew up to such music. Actually, I grew up to Сестричка Vika. I grew up. She has actually a lot of really cool songs that I've heard so many years ago that I unfortunately I cannot call the titles, but it's like I in the back of my head I can still hear them. Брати Гадюкіни, which what this band was full of extremely cool musicians, musicians that would play things like jazz, separately, but people who play jazz usually they're like genius. To me, they're absolutely genius. And брати Гадюкіни, Андрій Миколайчук, що то було, мабуть, НЛО and stuff like that. And a lot of those music bands actually were some of my first music that I've heard as a child. Back in those days, back in the times of the Soviet Union, yet. Yeah, but Aziza mentioned that her father liked Deep Purple, Pink Floyd, all those bands, and of course there is a reason why they became legendary and why they became classic, because they introduced so much new sound and new ways to communicate with their audience, to the world, and that is why basically they were so much copied throughout the years, and why they're referred to as classical rock bands. It takes a lot of talent actually to be called classic, I think. And personally, I wasn't, when I was a kid, I wasn't a big fan of Deep Purple or Pink Floyd. I preferred things like Iron Maiden, Scorpions, and other amazing German band, by the way, the Scorpions. Um, Scorpions, Iron Maiden, Manowar, Nirvana actually was my very, very own, very first rock band that I liked. My first cassette tape was Nirvana, two albums actually. And only after that you start growing up and you start to open to other styles, and then you start to slowly understand things like Deep Purple and Pink Floyd. You go back decades and start understanding those, like those kinds of music. So what I would really like to hear, so people would probably like to listen to some of Ukrainian rock, and here I don't really know. Aziza, if you were asked what kind of Ukrainian rock, like modern rock, you would prefer, what would you say? Like what artist or what song?
Mm, I know about a metal, very great music band, Ginger, like, but I don't correct name of their style. But Ginger is absolutely great music band.
I
uh,
think I think it's like metalcore or something,
Yeah.
yeah, guys,
but
but I got to stop you here because Ginger were Vatniks, but if you're a Vatnik once, you, to be honest, cannot be unvatnik. So whatever they say that they changed and now just, abusing
Mm,
their Ukrainian status, they were really like какая разница, given the interviews, and unfortunately Ginger, yes, used to listen to them. I really enjoyed their music, but
really?
when I knew about this, I was like, oh shit, I won't listen to you anymore.
I just maybe I heard something new bands, but I forget the names of this band. So I have to like rethink about a new band because it as these bands are absolutely not famous. So
Uh-huh.
I just forget the names. But like first name that I remember is Ginger, and I know that they had really Vatnik thought in the past, and I know that now they also not like absolutely like they try to be more like this peacefully peacemakers, but but in general they promote Ukrainian culture. Like a lot of people knows about Ukraine because of this band, and this band very famous in the United States and Europe. So they really did something really great job and said about Ukraine in this way. But of course, not in such way that we want, because if you have a lot of audience, you can work with this audience. You can say a lot of things about Ukraine, about Ukrainian culture, but they didn't do it. But what I want to say to like defend, like
In
because I
defense. Uh-huh.
like I also did the mistakes in my life, and not I wasn't the Vatnik, but I really saw that we can make like we can make peace with Russian people, but not with Russian government. But people are not guilty. So I really saw it in this way, and it was my colonized mind, and it was my mistake, and it was something that took from me all my resource and my time. And it's now it's very I now I begin to be very aggressive to this point, to this peace making
Uh-huh.
uh, so
Makers. Yeah.
the
Peacemakers.
makers. And for Russian, good Russian, because now good Russian are like the first enemies for me, because they did a great job for Russian philosophy and Russian world. It will never stop to make the war in the future, and I know how it's very dangerous, and how we have to destroy this point, destroy these ideas. And it's really very painful when you work hard, when you try to explain the people about this topic, and then you saw how, for example, um, Boombox makes a photo with this Russian rock musician, his friend. I forgot his name. Um, so he makes it. He made this concert in United States, and during this concert, during the full scale war, he makes the photos with this Russian rock musician, and said he's like against the Putin. He's good Russian, so we can do this. Like, he is okay, and so in this way he supports Russian world, and so it means that when it will be peace, and maybe early, much early, this Russian rock musician will come to Ukraine and will do concert in Russian language. And now he created even in Ukrainian language songs. So it's very hard to work with this when the great artist didn't do this like work, because they have the friends, and they saw it, because they didn't do these mistakes like me. They saw that they could have the friendship with such people.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly because I did this mistake, I can understand that no, even this Russians that support Ukraine, they are really is that we have only one way: our supporting our culture, supporting our music, our thinkers, because they took from us our opportunities, because we are concurrents, and that is why they destroy, that is why they did these crimes.
Mm-hmm.
So in support them in this time and give them voice, it's mean a destroy way from for us, for our people. So
Mm-hmm. And it's
that's
like,
why I
yeah.
didn't like. I really like Ginger's music, because they really this singer, one of the most powerful singer.
Yeah.
She's absolutely great. She's if they will be a little bit more smarter, they could be they could be on the first like level, like best
Echelon. Yeah.
level, because they she's absolutely amazing how she's singing in different styles. um Superstar, super world star.
Yeah.
But
Aziza, have you heard of Vivian Mort?
yeah, I heard. I even was on same festival with her,
Ah,
Ah.
Roman Ratushny.
actually,
I visited a lot of her concerts actually before the war, and actually after the war started, 2015, 16, 17, I've been there, and I secretly asked Rick to play one of my favorite songs of Vivian Mort for you guys.
let's do it right now.
Щоб та був ти, лети, нехай світане задихається, лети, 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 твої сили не скінчаються, лети, 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 лети.
Thank you, Starsky. Awesome song.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an amazing song. Just so people could understand the lyrics a bit, she says, "I didn't sleep for 5 days and nights. I imagined the snow melting and flooding the earth, and we would gather at the top of the highest building, and some people not expecting to be saved, would just dive down, but I would tell you that you should fly. And this is like one of the most powerful songs. The reason I chose this one, my dear friend Rick, is because we talked about Ginger and Tanya, the vocalist, who was Vatnik, okay, one time Vatnik. 2015, 2016, I was, no, 2016, 2017, I was already in the National Guard of Ukraine. And from my first company, where I was a private, I jumped to the second company where I became a sergeant. And in the first company, I still had a lot of friends, a lot of guys I served with in the first company. And Max, oh my God, Max, he died literally, Max Klivtsov, he died literally, I believe, last year. He was my very, very good friend, Ukrainian poet, actually, very talented guy. So his guys in the first company on the front line, okay, where they have a deployment, mostly they would listen to shit like Morgenstern. They would listen to Russian rap, like, all right, in the National Guard, literally because they didn't have any access to better music. Okay, guys, we already have hybrid Russian war against Ukraine. We have Ukrainian guys, patriots, National Guardsmen defending our land. And what they listen on their positions is a shitty Russian music because they didn't know that there's something better. And Max actually started playing things like Vivien Mort. He started playing things like Tartak, Tenemka, and things like that. And guys started evolving. They started opening their minds and getting acquainted with the better music. And they were like, holy shit, you want rap, you want hip hop, listen to Yermak, for example, because Yermak also has some really good tracks. And the guys started evolving. So what I noticed from my life experience is that people are not necessarily evil because they're born evil. People can do some crazy shit because they don't know that there is alternative. They're not acquainted with some better things. And same with Ginger, for example. She would be Vatnik, she would say Kakaya Raznica and stuff like that, literally because she probably didn't care much, literally because she didn't have proper friends who would tell her, make her acquainted with a different point of view. And when you have such people, when they start evolving, when people like Space of Variations, for example, they were good friends with Ginger, and they were also partially Vatniks, by the way. They came from Vinnytsia, and unfortunately in Vinnytsia there's a lot of Vatniks. There were a lot of Vatniks for reasons I cannot explain, but they all changed. And it's important to give people chance to evolve, actually. So that is just my point, that art, the power of art is that we can make people better using art as a weapon. And this is why it's so important. Marlene Dietrich came from Germany to the United States. I believe she immigrated when the war started, and she sang like songs like Lili Marlene and stuff like that. That was banned in Germany. However, in Germany, I believe they had their own version. But she was German who decided to escape the Nazism disseminated by the H-man, and she went from Germany to a different country where she generally dedicated her art to fighting against the H-man. There is the same, I would say, same story with other guys that also immigrate from Russia, and they dedicate their art to fighting against Putin as well. For example, B2, the Russian band, Russian/Australian band, which actually I was never a fan of, and they like they play kind of rock. I never really liked them actually, because the dude doesn't have like his voice is kind of meow, right? In like to my liking. But the war started, and the full scale war started. They immigrated from Russia, and they generally play music already outside Russia. They donate to Ukrainian army and Ukrainian civilians, and the singer, their lead singer, he even talks about it. What does it mean? It means that if he's caught by, I don't know, FSB somewhere in the airport, he's done. All right, he goes to jail for that, for supporting Ukraine's army, like that ballerina, Russian slash American, who was captured in Russia because she donated $50 to the Ukrainian army, or Ukrainian civilians, and she was sentenced to like 15 years behind bars. She's done. And a lot of let's call it this way, not a lot, but there are people who actually are very, very useful because of that, because they show Russians that there is an alternative. Why it's important is because when you look at the situation from a standpoint of a Russian person living, for example, somewhere in France or in Germany, and they think, okay, Putin is a mofo, all right, Putin is shit. But at the same time, those like people in the civilized countries, they also think we're shit. So what should we do? You know, and this breeds Putin 2.0, basically. This breeds the Russian imperialism, in my personal opinion. Russians must be given a signal, all right, that you should support Ukraine. And for example, several years ago, I saw this. Remember, there was this rally, Rage Against the War Machine, organized by the pro-Russian forces in the United States, where there were a lot of like Russian flags. It was basically rally of Russian terrorism supporters in the Washington, D.C.
Was it during the full-scale invasion?
Yeah. Already during the full scale, there were like freaks with Z flags, with those Russian Aquafresh flags and stuff like that. And they were gathering there, and they were speaking about like the Zog, you know, financing the war of Ukraine against peaceful Russia and stuff like that. I saw a video of a guy with a blue and yellow flag who stopped there, a bicycler who stopped there, and he literally started like asking questions like, why are you here? Why are you supporting Russian terrorism? I saw that video. It's still on YouTube. And someone asks this guy, like, are you Ukrainian? And he's like, no, I'm Russian, but I support Ukraine, and that's why I'm here with Ukrainian flag, and I want to know what those people are gathered here for. And I realized that actually we need more people like that. We need more people with blue yellow flags around the world, and it can change a lot actually.
I'm absolutely disagree with you. Absolutely, because I was with this a point on the beginning of full scale war, and I had the channel in Telegram осознанный россиянин, and I tried to to share all, to research all the topics about all good Russians, and to make it popular through the Russian audience. And I realized that it's this point, it's a very dangerous point, because Russian world has many heads. Like the Russian monster has many heads, and these heads, there's a good Russian, are very, very хитрый.
Cunning,
So they in this way, they took in your head, they said some good point for reason of Ukraine, and then add to this point vision of Russian world, and you begin to be friends with this world. And that is why absolutely absolutely don't believe in this power that you can support Russian like changes, and they can have more like we need more such people with a yellow blue flag. No, because these people exactly they have a lot of power in United States, in the Europe. The Europe support Russian culture, good Russian, because they still have this romantic good feeling for Russian culture, for Russian music, Russian singers, writers, and they have still don't want to say that I'm the part of this. I'm the part of Putin war. I'm the part of Russian philosophy, and they didn't change. So still, till we will not um, win this war, they will never change, and you just will be support just as Russian monster with another like even another head and with another name, but it is still same monster. And that is why really I try to believe in this. I support maybe 1 year of full scale war. I support these ideas. I try to research. Try to support them, but then I like delete a lot of channels because I realize that they are absolutely sick. So only Ukrainian that maybe were in Russian world and then begin to be more Ukrainian have such a more good thoughts about Ukraine. But Russians that are were grown up from Russian culture, they could not change till we will not win them, because they still have this power, they still have all resource, and now they have a lot of instruments, have influence of Russian. Even this topic, it was big mistake of Biden when he took the daughter of Navalny in his like company of election. She was a part of this company, and I think it's destroyed everything because it's a absolutely not good point. And when they try to make like to invite lady Zelensky, first lady, our first lady, and they try to make a place for her together with Navalny, and to say that we make the peace between us, and so we want. So is this is a problem of like Western world that try to be peaceful, be friendly to Russian that are against Putin, because it's not good point, absolutely, because they're afraid to be not tolerant, they're afraid to show this like, but it's just illness, you could not support them. And it's my vision of, because I really was in this world, I live in Moscow, I know this culture from the inside era, and I don't believe in these people. I don't believe in this guy that stopped. Okay, he's against Putin, against this, and but even I hate when they said, I'm як вони кажуть, я агент,
Agent.
agent. They really
Agent.
really proud of this, and they saw that it can like give them points that they are good, they are not like Putin. But no, they can have same illness but with another like with another
Uh,
name. And
Aziza, I want to interrupt you real fast because I got to run to bed very soon. But I just wanted to say again, I completely agree with you. I would probably just rephrase a bit because Cheryl in the chat gave a really good term for that. She says they can have unconscious Russian bias. So I think it's not about culture; it's about unconscious Russian bias. Russian biasness, and it can explain a lot actually. Because generally, when you talk to a Russian person who was born in this and lived like their most of their life in the Russian society, uh, one way or another, this is their nature. This is part of them. Like you cannot just tell them stop being Russian, and they like stop being Ukrainian. It's the same. But if they have Russian bias or they don't have this stuff, it's a different question because we have battalions of Russians fighting in Ukraine and basically giving their lives for Ukraine at this very point. You know, русские добровольческие отряды and stuff.
Andrei,
I have
let me step in. Those guys are different. They don't have the Russian imperialism in them.
Yeah.
not everybody.
Yeah, I agree that, yeah, Aziza is also right, but I agree. Actually, agree like with Aziza completely, and I partially agree with you, Andrei, that we kind of need to kind of try to show them the way, but I also came to a conclusion that unfortunately they don't want to see it, like not the way, but the kind of that that Ukraine is not bad, if that's what you were saying, right? To show them that like they think we're the same or something, you said?
No. I said that we gotta help them evolve, but only to those who can evolve, because generally, I think it's impossible.
Yes,
Like in
exactly.
most cases, guys, there are 140 or 120 million Russians. How many Russians are fighting in Ukraine for Ukraine? Like several hundreds.
Yeah, just several hundred.
And that is basically the answer why I think that even though it's possible, but the number of those people, I can count them on like fingers of one hand.
Starsky,
So,
one more thing.
why I wanted to say why it's important is because we need them to talk about this. We need them to be speakers and spreaders of this idea.
Of what idea?
Huh?
Of what idea?
That they should support Ukraine. That this is the proper thing to do.
But the
They
problem
don't
is they don't
understand,
understand how
language.
to support Ukraine properly. They think that, writing hashtag on the social networks, that's the support of Ukraine. They don't understand how to support Ukraine. And the first thing for them to properly support Ukraine is to recognize that they are also kind of guilty, that they played their part, their role in this, and just a few of them are capable of recognizing this. That's
I absolutely agree with you, bro, and I absolutely agree that when Russian people speak to Ukrainian people, when they want to have a conversation, first thing they must say is "I'm sorry."
yeah.
That is 100%. When you meet a Russian person on the street somewhere in Europe, and when they see that you're a Ukrainian with Ukrainian flag, first thing they must do, they must say "I'm sorry." It's 100%.
Zabushka, I think, said this. So, oppressed nation could not speak with of an aggressor. Still, aggressor did the crime. It's like we have we have this trauma, and they have this power now. So we could not. So, for example, why we are against to be together with Russia on the festivals and speak with them on the one stage, because it's psychological. We could not do it because they have all power now, and so they have to stop. They have to stop to do this. Stop to do this war. So they could not. Just I can understand it because I did the music with idea to change Russian, good Russian, to inspire Russian for the revolution, and I really spent the time for this. I have these ideas. I really believe that Ukraine did wrong, did mistake, as Ukraine didn't work with soft power with Russian, and so why we didn't work with this? We can also have this influence, but in general they the best of Russian are imperialistic. The best Russian, my friends, past friends, very imperialistic. And so they first said to me, "I'm so sorry. We are so sorry." They were crying. They said, "Putin is so wrong. We are crying." And then said to me, "But we are good, and we are really good. So Russian give you opportunity to be independent, and we are okay with this." Yeah, of course we were together before, but now we give you opportunity in the beginning of 19th to be independent. And so a lot of such small topics show how they saw our world, how they when you say something against this, they like begin to be like say to you, yeah, you're Nazis, you're wrong, you're so when you are on their side, when you're speaking in Russian language, for example, when you change yourself, when you begin to be when you defend your rights, not their, not say, you know, you're good, you're not like Putin, I saw like you, when you begin to be more like with just world without this feeling that you're a small nation and this is big brother, they change absolutely. And I had a lot of such so when you begin to speak deeper, you saw this absolutely ugly world. And at first it made me like absolutely like sad, but now I don't care. I just want that we I really believe that we have to share our vision to European to Europe with the United States, to share this how we see Russian. So how we see this war, how this we see not with Russian, because Russian absolutely all their leaders, best people like Karamurza and other, they're very very imperialistic. They really intelligent. They absolutely they know a lot of languages, but they are really stupid. And about the Russian in our army, for example, they are also different. For example, Svoboda России,
Mhm.
or like they
Legion,
said that
Legion, freedom
we
of
have
Russian. Yeah.
to we have to save Russian. They said we have to save good Russian. Russian will be good empire
Mhm.
with all nations together. So it's not good for Ukraine. But the RDK, they said no, we want our national republic Russian and freedom for all nation. It's better, but in general it's just our partners only for this time, and we don't know what we so when they said that they fight for us, in general they fight for themselves too.
Yeah, they do.
It's like we just together fight exactly Ukrainian fight for Russian, like for future of normal Russian in the future,
Mhm.
because if they will give freedom for another nation, will be like normal people, it will be good for us. But they will never understand this um, in peacefully way, unfortunately,
Yeah,
because they
yeah,
have to see this absolutely. They have lose absolutely in everything.
yeah. And Andreas and Cheryl, by the way, in the chat, they both said very, very important thing, that they will never understand this until they collapse, just like Nazi Germany did. So until they go through this process of, losing the war, collapsing, and rebirth as like a proper nation with proper mindset, they will never understand that, and it's completely right, I think. But one thing that I wanted to mention, Karamurza is like a complete idiot, in my personal opinion. Even yeah, like he's a political prisoner and stuff, but he's a great example. He and Navalny and all their supporters are a great example of how not to be a Russian oppositionist, okay? Because Russian opposition, in my personal opinion, sucks. The only true Russian opposition is currently in the trenches, all right, with weapons. That is the proper Russian opposition. Why generally I speak about this? Because emotionally, I completely agree with you, Aziza, 100%. That in the future, until I die, I don't want to have anything in common with Russian people, seriously. Because we have trauma, I have trauma, I lost a lot of friends that will never come home again. I will never see them. We will never speak with them. I will never be able to hug them. And that is something I cannot forgive to like Russians, even those like good Russians who generally don't have anything to do with that. But emotionally, I will not be able to forgive them. Why I'm speaking about this topic is because, as a communication specialist, I understand that this is a way for us that we can utilize as a weapon against Russianism, and they can be used as a weapon against Russianism. even though we hate it, because one way or another, from emotional standpoint, uh, we will never go to Moscow. I would never go to Moscow. I know that you guys would never go to Moscow in the future after the war, when it's safe and stuff, But in 100 years, like, if whether we like it or not, we must understand that it's better to have a peaceful and um, not dangerous neighbor than have like Russians for like centuries. All right,
Yeah.
have them there forever. So this is something that we should understand. I completely agree with you guys from emotional standpoint because I feel the same, and I completely agree with your position 100%. As a military and as a communication specialist, I understand that there are other ways that we can utilize, and thank God you don't have anything to do with that.
I remember that interview. I listened to it of Artem, the Russian dude who invited you to the interview, and the whole interview was like okay in general. But then at some point he said that he doesn't consider his friends who were mobilized responsible, and he doesn't think them like, yeah, they're guilty in something. But the problem is,
Наши мальчики.
That triggered me, by the way. That triggered
Наши
me.
мальчики in
yes,
general.
so yeah, наши мальчики are boys. So basically, that's a very dangerous path he's taking. So when he is kind of, you see, his friends, when they joined the army, they could already kill some Ukrainians, could maraud our houses easily. They can become FPV drone operators and kill our people. And that doesn't, just the fact that they were grabbed somewhere on the street or at their home by their savage government doesn't actually leave them of responsibility for all of this. They, like, willingly or not, they became the part of it, and they should bear that responsibility now. And when he is justifying them and saying that he doesn't consider them occupiers, no, man, it doesn't work this way. This is very like, not just delusional, but it's very disrespectful and very so you see, it's all in the details. These good Russians, they always show their imperialism in such details. I'm kind of for Ukraine and I donate to Ukrainian army, but at the same time, my mobilized friends are not occupiers, and I completely stand by their side. They were just abused by the Russian government, all of this. In war, it's not that simple, and you need to bear responsibility for your actions.
I want to say that my opinion is not from the emotions, because I lost these emotions, like losses. It's really deep my researching of Russian culture and how they work, how good Russian work with these topics, with the films, with the music, with the everything, and how exactly good Russian support ideas of Trump. How, for example, one Russian music band created the song and video with a song, and they support this idea that not Russian are not guilty, but it's like Western world that give Ukrainian weapons, and it's very support audience of Trump in that time. So they use a lot of elements, to like protect own people, but do like protect own world. But this is absolutely great crime against Ukraine now, and they have a lot of such small details that help them. And I want to say that I know some Russian, for example, one Russian is a kamikaze D, and he is really, I think that he is not a enemy for us, because he said, I'm not Russian now, I'm just citizen of Czechia, like Czechia, and I want that Russia will destroy. I don't want to see Russia anymore. And nobody from Russian opposition or Russian journalist, like nobody invite him on the like for example on the in the media, nobody give him the voice. He's absolutely like in the underground, and he said, I'm not like, I don't want to have Russian identity. In some topic he even more aggressive than Ukrainian against Russian, because he also knows Russian culture from inside world. He know everything from Russia, and he said all this shit about Russian opposition, Russian music, Russian. Said no, only Ukraine, and only one way of Ukraine. I want to see Russian burned. What he said, and he's Russian. He's from Moscow, and he was from real opposition that had to run from Russia before the full-scale war. So and he said, I just don't want to see this identity in my children. I want to change this.
He reminds me of Serhiy Sumleny, by the way, who also went from Russia. He worked in Ukraine for years, and then he became a citizen of Germany. And basically, he speaks Ukrainian better than me, actually. And he says, I believe in one of my streams, I asked him like, what motivates him to come to Ukraine all the time and bring drones to Ukrainian units. And he says, my biggest motivation is hate, because I want to see Russia burn. And I'm like, holy shit, dude, like this is so good.
It's a good point for
Uh,
for understanding that it's not our enemy, because he doesn't want to see good future of Russian world.
exactly. Russian Empire to be disintegrated. That's the third of my three questions, and the most important one. If Russian thinks that the only way to stop all of this is for Russia to fall apart and stop being an empire. And unfortunately, not that many of them will respond with, yes, this is the only way. They may be, who knows, maybe some of them will say yes, but really don't think so and just fool us, you know? It also, yeah, some people are tricky and. Well, anyway, I still am procrastinating going on the Russian dude's interview, to be honest, because I listened to that interview. I kind of want to write the list of questions and confront them with those questions, confront him, and on the other hand, there is an opinion among Ukrainians that if we Ukrainians go and collaborate with those Russians who are kind of, who might be imperialist, because this guy, when he says our boys, my friends, my mobilized friends, I don't consider them guilty in anything. He might be a Russian imperialist, and I am just like, when I go there and collaborate, even just like he interviews me, right, and I might be confronting him and all of this, I still do this collaboration and still legitimize him a bit in the eyes of like those who don't really know that deep, and this is why I hesitate. I'm not sure that this is what I should do. Starsky, I understand you, I understand why you do this, and I see how you do this. And this work has to be done, to be honest. I maybe don't like to admit it, but I like when I also don't really, not always, okay. I'm emotional and I can see the need of some tactics and really like making them useful, and really, and you seem to manage to do it with a few guys, but you don't really collaborate with that many of them. Like, I don't know, like
not
3?
at all, bro. Like, bro, since 2022, I believe I only spoke like to 2 Russian bloggers in more than 3 years, because there were a lot of requests actually, but I just like, guys, I'm not a big supporter of that. I do that to show that Russians could call other Russians to support Ukraine, which I think is important. And basically, that's it. If Russians call other Russians to support Ukraine with donations, with things like that, Ukrainian civilians, Ukrainian army, I completely support this idea. If they have some kind of remains of imperialist mentality, like the boys that got mobilized, generally speaking, Rick, if we were friends like back in 2015 and you got mobilized in Vostok Battalion, for example.
Yeah, that would, I wouldn't be sitting here right now, you know.
Yes, but generally speaking, you would not stop being my bro Rick because you're serving there.
I don't think so. I think I would have. If I was fighting you, we wouldn't even communicate already.
Bro, I would shoot you 100%. But on the other hand, you would not start being my bro because I know you, and the same stuff there, guys.
We would
Those guys,
separate. I think we would separate with you if that happened. I separate with people who support Russia. Really, I don't support them anymore. I stop talking to them. So, sorry, bro, but I would stop being your bro if that happened.
I stopped talking even with those Russian who against Putin, but they have imperialistic mind. I could not speak with them, and I feel myself that I'm betrayed Ukraine when I begin to speak with them. I had really great friends that are had great friends that are against Putin, but I could not speak with them because they could not understand us absolutely, and even I didn't speak with my cousin, so it's just my brothers, and I just realized that they have imperialistic mind in some topic, and I could not speak with them, and I don't know how it would be in the future. They are not Russian, but they live in Russian, and they have a really Russian culture change personality very. So it's absolutely Russian vision. They speak in such way, and it's very you can feel it, and I don't know, it's war changed everything. And
You know,
I'm so happy. I'm so happy I didn't have Russian friends at all. When the war started, like I had some literally two guys following me on Facebook. I had a Facebook with something like 60,000 followers, and there were two guys following me on Facebook actually. One from Moscow, one from Vladivostok. And when the full-scale invasion started, they both texted me, and they both literally said, "I hope that Russia collapses." And I'm like, I applaud to you, my friend. And basically that's it. But it wasn't like, I had like family somewhere or I had friends somewhere. I literally had zero friends from Russia, and I was so happy about it. But again, that like I can feel your I can understand what you feel when you had to destroy all the connections with them, which was necessary. And I think I can say that it was necessary for you to do that, for you to have uh, your heart and your soul clean from that.
yeah, just impossible to speak with them because they had another. So you will be just have a lot of conflicts with them because they could not understand. For example, they're against the Putin, but they're still in Russia, and they could not explain. And they, for example, actress there has a project in Moscow. She's like actress, but she's against the Putin, and it's really she could not understand that she's inside of Russian economy, and what she did, she exactly in this moment support my death, support all this crime, and just because she's in Russia, just because she just lives her great life. In this time, my friend's Ukrainian died. This time, my friend's best artist, best musician died, and this is people against Putin, and they have really great life, everything that they want, career in Europe, in United States, in Russia. How I can speak with them? It just make me no. I could not speak with these
Yeah,
people.
yeah, absolutely. And now even I'm switching to Ukrainian. Even nowadays, when you see like when you see the war in Ukraine, when you lose your friends and your family, and Ukrainian cities are being bombed, there are still idiots there speculating like maybe it's Ukraine bombing, its own cities, to blame Russia. And you must understand if it's um, reasonable to try to convince them, to try to convince those people or not. Like you want to spend your resources, your brain cells on doing that or not, let them just fuck off and forget about them. So that is literally choice we all make. I made my choice. I don't really want to do that myself because it doesn't change anything. However, when it comes to literally Russians calling other Russians to support Ukraine, that is literally something I can understand and something I can support with just minimal effort. So that is just my point. Guys, you know what? I wanted to say that I would probably go to bed
Yep.
because it's very late in Ukraine. I know it's not that late here in Germany. But nonetheless, I would like to say big thanks to you, Rick, and big thanks to you, Aziza, for this stream.
Starsky. I think it's actually really great that we touched this topic, and we even if we have some disagreement, we can talk this through and kind of understand each other. So it's really cool that we had this too. And thank you very much for being a pretty awesome interlocutor, and in general person who can talk this through. So really happy.
Thank you, bro. One thing that I'm literally afraid of, is that people would think like Andrew is a traitor because he wants to make friendship with good Russians. Guys, to me, good Russians are, what good Russians are to me.
Yeah.
But it's not like that. Again, as a communication specialist, I'm trying to be like like a plumber. This job stinks, but somebody has to do that. So that's my opinion. So thank you, Rick, and thank you, Aziza.
Thank you. It's like you are like my thoughts in my head because every day I have this fighting with my feelings. But you did a greatest job. You make real good Russians, and so nobody from us can be like you. And it's like this theoretical fighting with on the culture air. It's sometimes I think it's bullshit, and only on the battlefield you can do a real job. But I really feel myself very great with you, and thank you so much for your work, for everything you did and you do.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Starsky.